Mornings with Will on 531 BI.
It is 15 minutes past 7 o'clock for Tuesday, the 11th of November. Kia ora, it's great to be in your company. I'm William Terite. I hope you're having a lovely start to the day. Now, the New Zealand government is keeping the spotlight and the heat, arguably, on the Cook Islands. Nearly $30 million of funding remains on pause after the island nation's Prime Minister, Mark Brown, controversially signed a deal with China. What does this mean for New Zealand's relationship with the Cook Islands, how Cook Islanders on the ground feeling, and how's the opposition responding? We speak now to the Cook Island Democratic Party's candidate for Titikaveka, Sholan Ivaiti. A very good morning to you. Welcome in.
Morning. Kia ora, Will.
Kia ora indeed. Look, I want to start with a bit of a pulse check as to how locals are feeling on the ground about this government and this recent development that funding remains on pause. Nearly $30 million.
Yes, that's quite a significant amount of money. The locals are actually losing confidence and trust in the current government. But I think it's driven more by the actions of the Prime Minister in terms of how he's dealing with the relationship with New Zealand, basically ignoring New Zealand, which probably shows a bit of arrogance on his part. And he's not listening to the people. I mean, initially, when there were other issues that he put forward, the people were unhappy about. They went to Parliament against what he was pushing forward in terms of the Chinese relationship, the deep sea mining saga, and so forth. So the people are pretty unhappy. I think the big topic at the moment in the Cooks, in terms of having trust and confidence in the current government, is water tariffs. So that's. The government said, look, it's going to be this, it's going to be that, but then things have come out and they're going to start charging people for water, even though they said, look, it's going to be minimal, but the people are not silly. They can see it's going to build over time and it's something that they're going to have to pay for. The issue really is quality of water at homes.
Right.
You're paying for something, but the quality hasn't improved.
I see. With that being said, just on the water quality issue, I mean, is there not a case to be made for charging of water?
There is, when the quality of that water is better than what you previously had. The issue we've got at the moment is water hasn't changed from the previous administration of that water. I mean, there's an SOE that's been set up, and they've been putting all these new pipes and so forth in place, but the quality of the water still has not changed. So why are you paying more for something that hasn't changed? It's probably the issue. I mean, like anything, if you're going to pay for something and you want to get value for your money, but there's no value for your money in this instance.
Yeah. Look, I just want to also pick up on the fact that this, just on the stoush where it comes to the funding being on pause between New Zealand and the Cook Islands, this has lingered on for much of this year. I mean, is there exhaustion and fatigue, at least on your side, of this?
Absolutely. And we've raised this issue. Our leaders raised it time and time again. I think she was on the radio yesterday and basically saying, look, the Prime Minister needs to really buckle down, show some respect to the relationship. I mean, he refers to the relationship as big brother, little brother. We don't see it that way. We actually see it as a parent to a child. And that's how we see the relationship with New Zealand. And we treat that relationship very important. I mean, it's very important to the opposition, and we've reiterated our stance. So definitely, we're just worried about what the Prime Minister's end game is, because we just can't understand or see it. He comes out publicly and says, there's no issue here, no issue there. But New Zealand doesn't seem to think so. New Zealand seems to think there's still an issue. And by what's come out in the paper today locally, it's going to raise further questions on the Prime Minister in terms of his arrogance and not coming to New Zealand and saying, okay, let's work this through. Everyone knows the solution is with the political minds to sit down. But I think Winston has provided that opportunity, but it doesn't seem like our Prime Minister, the Cooks, has actually taken the opportunity to sit with Winnie and work things out.
Is there a bit of ego here on both sides, though? I mean, is the New Zealand government in some ways been a wee bit too heavy-handed?
Yes and no. Depends on which side
Sure.
you look at it. From Winston's side, he's probably a person who's very principled. And so, these things have to go like this. And Mark would be the same as well. Saying, no, we're our own, we determine our own destiny. So why do we need to do this? You've done all these other things that you haven't included us in. So why should we give you the same thing? But like I said before, we don't see the relationship as a brother and brother. We see it more as a parent to a child. But this child now is growing. There are developments that are happening that's probably going to raise other issues of independence and so forth, but that's way down the line.
I caught up with, of course, the leader of the Democratic Party just a few months ago, getting a bit of a sense as to, what would the Democratic Party do if it was in this situation, and she rightfully pointed out, well, we wouldn't be in this situation because we wouldn't have done the deal with China. That being said, though, if the tables were turned, how would the Democratic Party deal with this situation if you were handed it today?
Well, I think we would have informed New Zealand as we're obligated to. Consult with them and say, look, please, this is what we are doing. And I think there's going to be dialogue and so forth on I guess, our limits in terms of the relationship we have. I mean, people can turn around and say, well, you're bowing down to New Zealand. I don't see it that way. I see it as, well, look, we've agreed in 2021, I think in 2015, that we're going to have this relationship. Particularly, I think New Zealand's really concerned of our foreign affairs, defence and security matters. I mean, those are the key areas that they're concerned that the cooks might be getting too much into and, I guess, going over that line. So from a common sense perspective, I think we should consult, and I think the Demo Party's position is that we would have consulted with New Zealand, definitely. I don't think we would be where we are now.
Good to highlight the differences there, I suppose. All right, with that being said then, do you see this, again, we are getting towards the end of the year. I remember yapping about this months ago, and it seems as there's no end in sight. Are you hopeful that there will be some kind of end in sight? I mean, how do you see this playing out?
Well, it comes down to the officials working to get our Prime Minister to the table with Winston and dialogue. I think that's very important, and sitting down and coming to and saying, look, we're going to come to a common ground for the benefit of the Cook Islands. I mean, we're losing 30 million. I don't see that 30 million reflected in the Cook Island budget, though, which makes me question the budget. It should have a significant deficit, but it hasn't. But yeah, it's dialogue, and I think everyone's accepted that's the way forward. The political masters really need to sit down and iron things out. And I think there needs to be some sorry on our part for taking it this far.
It's been remarkably hard to speak to Prime Minister Mark Brown or to try and facilitate an interview. We've tried on numerous occasions. So I suppose what I'm asking you is, what's his argument to counter all of this? What are you hearing in terms of why he is pursuing what he's pursuing in his government? I mean, there's got to be merits to it, perhaps.
I believe there is. So he's of the view the media are evil. So he's not willing to talk to the media because they manipulate what he's saying. That's what I've been hearing. That's why he refuses to talk to the media. He doesn't think they've given him a fair go. In terms of what he's trying to achieve, well, you would think he's trying to work for the benefit of the people, for the Cook Islands people going forward. If he is, then you would have thought the people will be consulted in some of the things that he's doing, but the people haven't. They just find out when it comes back through the media, which he doesn't like. So, it again, it just shows, look, should he come out and say to his people, look, this is what we're doing, this is why we're doing it. We're dealing with the Chinese because of A, B, C, D. We're dealing with the Americans because of A, B, C, D. But that hasn't happened. Maybe because he's been in too long. He needs to have a break in the opposition.
Look, it's also been revealed that the FBI set up a shop down here in Wellington, New Zealand, and it was cited that perhaps to keep a closer eye on the Pacific, namely, say, the Cook Islands as well. What do you make of that?
Well, that's something that New Zealand has to answer, because they're the ones who've invited the FBI into Wellington, not the Pacific. But you would speculate, hey, they must be looking at us now. I mean, the other thing is, look, it's because of China now the US are interested. That's a common thing that's been said publicly in the Cooks, with both parties coming in. So that's probably a question New Zealand needs to answer.
Indeed. And look, just before we wrap it up, I'm really keen to get a sense of how the Democratic Party is doing, this should be a time where the party is absolutely on a rise, some would argue, because of the negative headlines that have been associated with Cook Islands government at this stage. What are you feeling from a movement level? Are you guys sensing that change is inevitable, that you are on the rise, or is there still work to do?
We are working hard, Will. We're working very hard to get our party up there and say we're the alternative government for you. Our party has already developed policies, but we're passing it through the right channels before we can start coming out with them. But definitely, we're working hard. The Demo Party has been out in opposition for between 13 and 15 years. So the rebuild for us is a must. That's why I've gone home to give back to my people. And I've seen these challenges, and I'm doing what I can within my power to really help my party. I do believe we will be a much better governing party than the current Cook Islands Party, because we have rules that we follow, and we have policies that we're going to be bringing out. And I believe these policies are going to be beneficial. And again, I don't think we would have done what Mark Brown has done in terms of the relationship with New Zealand. I think we would have been more courteous to New Zealand in how we dealt with our defence and security and foreign affairs.
You highlighted there just that the Demo Party's been in the political wilderness for quite some time now. With that being said, is the party actually cohesive? Does it feel united? Is there a bit of fracturing that's inevitably going on? I mean, tell me, I really want to get a bit of insight as to the inner workings.
Yeah, so we're like I said, we're building. I'm new to the game. I've come in, I've had a look. Okay, these are things we're doing, and we are definitely on the rise. I can tell you that now. I've been around speaking to our supporters. Our supporters say we've been waiting for our party. So we are coming. Definitely, we are together. We are one, and we're behind our leader and pushing our policies that will come out soon. But yeah, definitely. It's exciting. It's exciting, Will, when you're trying to build something from bottom to the top. It's really exciting because there are new challenges that you've got to face. But it's a good, sound team that makes it work.
Certainly.
And that's what we're doing. We've created a good team and we're moving forward. So we are coming. We're definitely coming. And
let's end on a personal note. As you mentioned, you've gone back to the Cooks, right? And you're running in Titikaveka. Tell me, what led to all of this and ultimately the drive to do this?
I've always been passionate about the Cooks. I think I've got enough experience from New Zealand. My workings in New Zealand, my governance roles, my business experience to really go back and give back to my people. Particularly in the village of Titikaveka, where my wife is from and my kids have grown up. And it's a village I'm very passionate about. And there are some things that definitely need to be done in the village that had we been in government would have already been done. And one is the roads. Titikaveka is like driving on a reef. If you drive through Titikaveka, because this current government hasn't done the roads yet, and yet they have a sitting member of parliament who is a member of parliament of Titikaveka, and that still hasn't been done. But we've been told next year, March, the roadworks will start just in time for the elections.
Okay. Well, there we go. Hey, look, any final comments before we wrap things up?
No, I just want to take this opportunity to thank you and, for our people to really keep our leaders in check. Because if we don't, certain things can happen. And I think the media provides some honesty to that. When a politician is reluctant, then the media must be doing something right.
Oh, well, we endeavour to. Hey, thank you very much for your time and all the very best as well. We'll keep checking in with you, of course, in the lead up, of course, to the long stretch ahead in terms of when we actually get to an election. But thank you very much for your time. You have a lovely rest of your day.
Good. Come with me.
That is the Cook Islands